Philadelphia News, team of my heart. You saw flashes of brilliance this summer, but can this underdog prove he's more than just a scorer? From battling through adversity to shining in the Sixers Summer League, this player has shown relentless hustle on defense, boards, and the offensive end. But can he be the answer Philly needs? Stick around as we break down his potential and what it means for the Sixers news you crave. Subscribe for more insights and hit the bell to never miss an update on the next Sixers breakout star. You've probably been hearing the buzz, and it's not hard to see why. The Sixers made a low-key move right after the NBA draft, one that's already stirring up some noise. There's a player who showed flashes during the Summer League and what he did in that final game against the Celtics. That was something special. Imagine watching a young, raw talent rack up 23 points, dominate the glass with 8 rebounds, and fill up every stat category: steals, blocks, assists, you name it. He was everywhere. It's the kind of performance that makes you lean in because you sense there's something more. Something brewing. But here's the thing, he's far from polished, still has a long road ahead. That rawness is part of the intrigue, though. And it's exactly why you're going to hear his name more and more in Sixers news. He's on a two-way contract, meaning he's not just there to fill a roster spot, he's got potential that demands attention. He'll be splitting time between Delaware and the Sixers, and when he gets out there, you're going to want to pay attention. He's someone who left his home country as a teenager to chase this dream. Moved to West Virginia. Left everything behind just to get a shot at making it. That's the kind of hunger that you can't coach, and it shows up every time he steps on the court. In high school, in college, wherever he's played, he's been a standout. He's got that energy, that drive, and that natural knack for finding the ball. It's what makes him more than just another athletic prospect. He's got a motor, a gear that doesn't quit, and when you see him play, you realize this kid is different. He's not just about the points, though he can score, no question. But his ability to rebound at his size? His knack for coming up with steals? That's what sets him apart. You want to see that in a player, someone who can contribute on both ends. Someone who's not just waiting for the ball to come to them, but hunting it down, making plays, keeping their head on a swivel. And in this summer league, you got to witness that firsthand. He wasn't just a scorer, he was the engine driving the team. And yeah, his shooting can be a question mark. But last season at Memphis, he put up solid numbers from deep. That's the key for him, if he can keep hitting those threes, he's got a real shot. He's not the biggest guy out there, but in today's NBA, you don't need to be. What you need is heart, and this player's got plenty of it. His shooting touch showed up during Summer League as well, and it's only getting better. But don't think it was all smooth sailing. There were moments that reminded you he's still a work in progress. Dribbling out of bounds, making some questionable decisions, that's where you see the youth, the inexperience. But that's also where the opportunity lies. He's going to have time to work on that, sharpen his skills with the blue coats, and come back better, more polished. You saw flashes of what he can do off the dribble, creating his own shot, and that's huge. That's what separates good players from great ones. It's that ability to not just be a role player, but someone who can take over when the team needs it. And if you follow Sixers news, you know that the player development staff in Delaware is top-notch. They've helped guys make that leap before, and they'll do it again. There's potential here, real, tangible potential. This player is right on the cusp, and you're going to want to see how his story unfolds. You saw the flashes, but the real question is whether this kid can put it all together consistently. He's got the tools. You already know he can score. He's shown that in college, summer league, wherever he's played. But scoring alone doesn't get you far, especially not in the NBA. It's the other stuff, the intangibles, that separate players who make a splash from those who become a staple. And when you're talking about this player, you're talking about someone with the potential to do more than just put up points. It's his ability to read the game, to find himself in the right spot at the right time, to do the things that don't always show up in the stat sheet that makes him stand out. What you probably noticed right away is how relentless he is on the boards. For someone his size, grabbing rebounds isn't just impressive, it's essential. You don't expect a 6 feet 4 inches guy to be pulling down nearly 8 boards a game. That's something you can't teach. It's instinct, mixed with sheer determination. He's always looking for an edge, always scrapping, always fighting for that extra possession. And that's something the Sixers could use, a guy who's not afraid to get his hands dirty, who's willing to crash the glass, and who does it with a chip on his shoulder. In a league dominated by big men, having someone like him is a weapon. He's undersized, but it doesn't matter when you've got the heart and the hustle to make up for it. Then there's the defense. You've seen how active he is in passing lanes, his knack for picking pockets. He averaged over 2 steals per game last season, which tells you he's not just focused on the offensive end. He's a disruptor, someone who can change the momentum of a game with a well-timed steal or deflection. And it's not just about getting steals, it's about how he does it. He's got quick hands, great anticipation, and the athleticism to turn defense into offense in a heartbeat. You see that kind of play and you start thinking about how valuable it can be in certain matchups, especially when the Sixers need someone who can pressure the ball and create havoc for opposing guards. But it's not just about defense either. What makes this player so interesting is his versatility. He's not locked into one role. He can switch between positions, guard multiple spots on the floor, and contribute in a variety of ways. That's exactly the type of player you want on a two-way deal, someone who can fit into different schemes, fill different roles depending on the situation. And you know that's what the Sixers need right now. Flexibility, especially with how the NBA is evolving, is more important than ever. You also saw glimpses of his playmaking ability. He's not a primary ball handler, but he's capable of making plays for others. His court vision isn't elite, but it's solid, and he's able to make the right read when the defense collapses on him. It's the little things, those extra passes, the quick decisions, that can make a difference, especially when the team is looking for someone to step up in secondary actions. You're not going to expect him to run the offense, but in certain sets, having someone who can create out of a broken play? That's valuable. And speaking of creating, his shot-making has been a pleasant surprise. He's not just a catch-and-shoot guy, he's shown he can create off the dribble. That's crucial, especially for a player his size. You need to have that ability to put the ball on the floor and make something happen when the defense takes away the first option. What stood out was how comfortable he looked pulling up, even with a hand in his face. Sure, his handle can be a little shaky at times, but the fact that he's willing to take those shots shows confidence. Confidence in his game, in his development, and in his place on the floor. But with all of that, the biggest question mark still hangs over his shooting. You know how important it is for him to prove that his jump shot is for real. He's shown flashes, 38% from 3 in his final college season, 38.9% in summer league, but you also know that consistency is key. If he can keep that percentage up, he becomes a legitimate floor spacer, which opens up so many more opportunities for him and the team. But if the shot falters, that's where the real challenge lies. At his size, he needs to be able to hit from outside. It's what will keep him on the floor in critical moments. And it's not just about the numbers. It's about how he shoots. He's got a smooth, quick release. He's not afraid to let it fly in transition or off the dribble. He's shown that he can hit contested shots, which is a skill that separates shooters in the NBA from those who can't handle the pressure. He's going to have to prove that he can keep that up, though, and you know that's what the coaches in Delaware will be focused on. And here's where things get really interesting, because with all this potential, there's still so much left for him to prove. You saw what he can do when he's on. You saw that 23-point breakout performance in the final Summer League game. But have you thought about what comes next? He's got the athleticism, the motor, and he's clearly capable of stepping up in big moments. But it's about consistency. It's about taking those flashes of brilliance and turning them into something that lasts. What happens when he gets his shot in Delaware? Do you see him making the leap to Philly and carving out a role with the Sixers? Because that's where this story is heading, and you can feel the tension building. The stakes are clear, prove the shooting is real, tighten up his handle, show that his size won't hold him back. If he can do those things, you're talking about a player who could be an X-factor, someone who can help push this team further than they've gone in recent years. You know how crucial shooting has become in the league. You see it every game, the teams that have multiple shooters spaced around the floor, ready to pull the trigger. He could be one of those players, filling that need for the Sixers. But it's more than just hitting open shots. It's about creating for himself, about being able to make something happen when the offense stalls, about being the guy who can take on the pressure and come through. And he's shown hints of that, hasn't he? The defensive side of things only adds to the intrigue. He's got that scrappy, tenacious energy. He fights for every loose ball, contests shots, gets in the passing lanes. How many times did you see him come out of nowhere with a steal or a block during Summer League? That's what makes you believe in him. He's not coasting. He's hungry, always engaged, always ready to make a play. And you can't ignore that. But can he sustain it? Can he bring that same intensity night after night? That's the question that's going to determine his future. You've seen guys flash in the summer, show some promise, only to fade away when the games start to really matter. But you've also seen players take advantage of that opportunity, seize the moment, and never look back. Which path do you think he's going to take? You know what he's up against, right? The G League is filled with guys just like him, hungry for that shot, clawing for a chance to get their name called. But something about this guy feels different, doesn't it? He's got that chip on his shoulder, that drive that pushes him to keep improving, to keep finding ways to make an impact. That's what you want to see, and that's why you're keeping an eye on him. So, did you figure it out by now? Did you already know who I've been talking about all this time? The player who left his home, his country, who's been grinding ever since high school, who's dealt with adversity and never let it stop him? It's David Jones. Now that you know, think about what his journey represents. A player who's battled through loss, through change, and emerged stronger for it. A player who's shown that he can score, defend, rebound, and do the dirty work. A player who's still learning, still growing, but who has the potential to make a real impact if everything comes together. So, where do you stand? Do you believe in David Jones? Can you see him wearing the Sixers uniform, not just for Delaware, but for Philly? Let's hear it from you. Drop a comment, share your thoughts. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell for all the latest Sixers news. You won't want to miss what's coming next.